These small fuzzy brown sacs may look harmless, but over the past few months, Brantford's Mohawk Park has been invaded by what is known as the gypsy moth. Brian Greets from the Parks and Recreation Department says these types of caterpillars can be a real threat to the trees.
Gypsy moth, the actual moth part of the life cycle is pretty short-lived. They're only moth for about 10 days, and most of the damage to the trees is about for 40 days before that, as they're a caterpillar. So the gypsy moth problem is actually more of a caterpillar problem.
Gypsy moths from their caterpillar stage prefer leaves from hardwood trees like maple, elm, and their favorite oak, like the ones found here at Mohawk Park. But without some kind of pest management control system in place, these caterpillars could cause severe damage that may even result in the death of some trees. Brantford Councillor John Bradford says the amount of caterpillars present at the park this summer has increased drastically.
In this park, as recently as a month ago, in this park there are literally hundreds of thousands of caterpillars. If you stopped and just sat quietly for a minute, you could hear them consuming the leaves. And they would just eat voraciously all day long.
The increased population of the moths has dramatically affected the number of people visiting the park. A natural canopy of leaves that once covered this section where people could go for shade is now bare. Continuous attacks can fatally weaken the trees and leave them vulnerable to other insects and disease. In a planning effort to try to reduce the number of gypsy moth caterpillars, Fairmont traps have been placed throughout the park. Other methods are also being considered for next year.
You can manually scrape the eggs right off the tree and then soak them in some soapy water, and that kills them. Or you can tie sticky bands around the tree early in the spring before the caterpillars hatch, and as the caterpillars walk across the sticky band, they get caught there, and then you take that off and dispose of them. And if it's a really serious outbreak, there is a bacterial insecticide you can spray as well that's very safe but effective against a very narrow range of insects, specifically gypsy moth.
The forestry staff will also be doing a survey in the fall to evaluate this year's population to plan for possible control measures for next year.
It's interesting that the city of Brantford is not the only place that suffers from the issue of the caterpillars that lead to gypsy moths, but perhaps we're on the leading edge over some of the other municipalities as to doing something about it.
Reporting for First Local, I'm Melissa Federero.